Greetings, amigos. Jennifer here doing our December 2022 budget. I'm pretty excited to be doing this one. It's dropping on Christmas Day, so Christmas right around the corner as I record this, and we are so excited to be joining Jorge and Jessica in a road trip to San Cristobal de las Casas in Chiapas to spend Christmas with Jessica's family. We're looking forward to this trip, and we're looking forward to sharing our experiences in a new state with all of you. And as well, sharing with you how Mexicans spend Christmas. Probably doesn't differ too much from back home, but we'll let you know what those differences are. Now, despite what you're going to see as the final numbers, I think we did pretty well this month. As far as our living expenses, our day-to-day expenses, I think we came within our budget. But we had some extra expenses this month. That, of course, takes us over budget. But these aren't expenses that we're going to have every month. First off is Daryl took a trip to Mexico City. He spent 5 days with Jorge, visiting Jorge's father in Mexico City, and they flew. So this trip cost 12,000 pesos. And with airfare and spending money. There was some wonderful footage that came out of that and some shorts, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching them, and I hope you guys did too. Also, we were invited to our first Mexican or Mayan wedding. Both the bride and groom, or novios, were native to the Yucatan. And again, their weddings were pretty similar to ours, with some differences. For example, they went to a justice of the peace, or whatever it is they call it here, to do the deed, and then they went to a hall to celebrate the reception later that day. They did throw the bouquet, but before doing that, the ladies did a kind of conga line around and through and under the veil, and I think we've got a short of that, if nothing else. So that was neat. So that's, they just kind of danced around the building and the yard, and before she actually ended up throwing the bouquet. The garter she did wear a garter, and it did have to be removed without hands. So that was similar, but the garter itself, it was tied. It was a rose with ribbon, and it was tied. And he did not give that away to the gentleman. What they did instead with the gentleman is the groom poured beer. I think traditionally it's supposed to be tequila, but they said you get too drunk with tequila, so they were pouring beer in the male guest's mouth. So he stood up on a chair and he just kind of poured it in to the male guests, who kind of walked around in a circle. And I don't know how long you do that for. Maybe it was a song long, I'm not sure. So that was pretty interesting. There was toasts, but I don't know that this is typical, but this wedding, it was one toast and it was super short, and she explained why it was short. So that was nice. The first dance. I would say this is the biggest difference, and I've seen this before at a Filipino wedding, but there was no gift table. There was nowhere to put, nobody brought a box. There was one person that towards the end of the night brought a big box. So our wedding gift was cash, so that's in our budget. That was 2,500 pesos. We gave this couple. So I could not find a wedding card to save our life. So we, spent the hours looking for a wedding card, but we couldn't find it. So I ended up getting this little box that I put the money in. So I just there was a faux cake, so I put it by the faux cake, but I didn't realize I would have just hung on to that box. During the first dance, you let them have their time as their first dance as husband and wife, and then people cut in. And if they want to cut in, they pin money to the bride or groom, whoever they want to dance with. So that is how, there is no gift table. So now I understood. So I just kind of went up and grabbed my box and I said, I'm sorry, I didn't know about the pin. And I gave him the box. So I thought that was, made it very interesting, and it helps out their bride and groom, obviously. So that was very interesting. And I hope to do, it was a very small wedding, 60 people. So I do hope in my future there's more weddings. Now, as mentioned, I believe in last budget video, our monthly budget goes from the 25th to the 25th. So today being the 25th is when our new budget should take over. But as we were traveling on the 21st, our travel budget takes over. So we're done with our monthly budget, and I've only have 5,000 pesos cash for our Chiapas, and I believe I'm gonna have to bolster that at some point, but I'm not too worried about it. It's what I'm starting with. And if I do have to bolster it, then it'll be in next month's budget. But 5,000 pesos is what I have in cash, so I included it in this month's budget, and that's what we're going to be living off of until we return in January. Anything else of note? We did not do any vet visits. The vet was in contact with me. He wanted to know how Cece was doing. And after a short, brief discussion, we decided that we're just going to keep giving Cece a double dose of some heart meds and continuing to monitor, and he'll check back with me next week, see how he's doing. Again, he does not act like a puppy in distress. Maybe at times when, things that stress puppies out, like maybe being left alone, or it stresses him out when he can't find Daryl. So, other than that, he's acting like a normal puppy. I had a minor incident with the car. Our landlord had the plumber in to fix some plumbing issues we had, and they parked right behind our car, behind our carport, and their son came to help them, and he drove a motorcycle. So that was the day of the wedding, so I had to drop the dog off to be babysat. So I was running out, and I was very concerned about hitting the car that was parked right behind me. So I very carefully backed up and hit something. I thought it was the car, and then when I got out of the car, I realized it was the bike. So I should have been more concerned about hitting the bike than the car. Very little damage to his bike, and he just accepted 700 pesos for the damage to his bike, and I cracked our taillight. So really not a lot of damage, but Daryl was concerned about damage over time, like humidity and rust, etc. So we ended up getting a part. So at first we called Dodge and said, we want to replace this piece. Can you get it in, and can you get it installed? And they said it's 5,000 pesos for the part without installation. We thought that was a ridiculous amount of money. So our friend Jorge came to the rescue again, and he got us, he found the part from a parts store for 1,500 pesos, and there was a place across the street that would install it, and they charged us 100 pesos to install it. So not bad. 1,600 pesos to replace the light housing in the back, and Dodge wanted 5,000. So I think we had a great savings there. I will be more careful in backing up, I think. I was being careful, I just was not being careful properly. Daryl kept his cool pretty good. So that brings our grand total to 71,150 Mexican pesos. So yes, that's one of our higher budgets, but there was a lot in there that we will, we're not going to have two trips in 1 month, two big trips in 1 month again. The Mexico City trip just kind of came up last minute and we jumped on their opportunity. So that's why that's like that. So you're going to see at the end of the video when Daryl puts it in that I've added some columns to my budget. One of our viewers wanted to know each line item, what it cost in US dollars and Canadian dollars. So thank you very much for the comments and questions, and it helps us out, and maybe this new format will help out some others. And so you're going to see the line item like rent, 21,000, and what it costs in US dollars and what it costs in Canadian. And besides that, you're going to see the exchange rate that I used, which I think is important because that's always changing, right? So before I would just use the app that we use, and you guys didn't really know what rate we were using. So our total, 71,150 Mexican, is 3,600 US dollars or 4,909 Canadian dollars. High budget, but I'm confident that we're starting to, our living expense budget is starting to come down to more where I want it to be. So I think we're on the right step. Of course, we always want it to be less, and I think as we move away from this area, we'll be able to save even more money, especially if we go inland away from the beach. I love the beach, but I think we want to try inland too, because inland offers its own beauty, like mountains and rivers and lakes, and Mexico is a great big country, and I can't wait to explore it all. So I can't just do the outer edges. That wouldn't be exploring it all, right? Okay, so looking forward to next month. I have nothing on the horizon other than finishing off our Chiapas trip. So I'm gonna sign off again. Wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, because I gotta get to bed. We gotta get up really early in the morning and take off. Thank you guys. God bless. Bye-bye.